So, without further ado, can I introduce the next chapter? Can we give a very low key, he's advised me, a low key applause in Springs manner to Mr. Mike Waterfield. Okay, wow. Mr. Sound Guy man, yes. Mike has got his mic. Okay.
Okay, I think you can hear now, yeah?
Okay. So you've already answered, or we've already answered one of these questions. So tell us your name, where are you from, Mike, and what do you do?
I hesitate to say where I'm from, because you might hold it against me, but Walsall. Not too bad a place, really. I know it's not quite as black country as Cornwall, but it's reasonably black country. So, yeah, black country lad from Walsall. For the past 5.5 years, been living in Clanley, which is very different to Walsall, I can assure you. I live there with my wife, Deborah, who's just here. Been married 41 years. Pretty impressive.
Wow.
She deserves 2 medals, doesn't she? You know, I think. If you knew me well, you'd know she deserves a medal, actually. But there we are. I've got Rachel's my daughter, so Rachel Wright. So Pete Wright, Pastor Pete, he's my son-in-law. Living with us at the moment, and it's wonderful. And I've been involved in Springs Church from the beginning, so that's probably enough of that.
Brilliant. Okay, lovely. So can you give us a little bit of an insight on who or what influenced you and your decision to come to know Jesus?
Yeah. So if I go back a long, long way, back to my childhood, which, yeah, very long way, schools still held Christian assemblies, which is a bit strange now to talk about. I don't think they do. You have religious assemblies, do you, maybe? I'm not sure. Looking at Rachel. So we were taught Bible readings, we were taught traditional hymns. So I got to know a bit like that. I was a Boy Scout, believe it or not, as well. So that was run from Methodist Church. So I found out a bit about Christianity from there. So I'd say I had a fairly good grounding as a child, up to about the age of probably 12, I suppose. And in those days as well, I mean, we're now talking sort of the 60s, early 60s, that sort of time. I think most families in the UK would have said, we're Christians. My mum and dad did, my brother and sister said, yeah, we're Christians. Not having a clue really anything but to do with having a faith in Jesus Christ. So we had a good understanding, we sort of lived in good values, believed in Christian values, but probably weren't really having a relationship with God, I would say. And then just moving on, sorry, I'm going on a bit, but through the 70s and beyond, even up to when Rachel was born in 1985, I was a long, long way away from being anything to do with being a Christian. I think I'm further away from it than that, I think. But things did start to change. And the biggest influence on that was the birth of Rachel. Not because it impacted me in a faith way, but it impacted deeply on my wife. And immediately Debbie became a Christian at the birth of Rachel. And then a little bit later, 1988, Jonathan came along, and I was very happy for them all to go to church, and as long as they left me alone, and I didn't have to worry about it, that was all fine by me. But I did start to go along occasionally, just supporting things like dads do, and met some very strange people. Some very strange people coming into our house. Debbie used to run at least one house group, if not 2, I think, I can't remember. It was a while ago. So we had house groups and things of that nature. Lots of very old folk around the house, around church. So yeah, that's the sort of early start of the influence, I suppose.
Okay, so what actually brought you up to thinking, hang on a bit, I quite fancy this. There's something in this. There's something going on with Debbie that I quite like. So what brought you to that point?
Right, so I apologise if I'm offline a bit, but we fast forward to 1999. I'd been going to the church, the WEC actually, there's a few WECs here today actually, old WECs, not many but a few. It used to be called the Church at Junction 10 after the WEC. I've been going there for probably 12, 18 months. Initially I went very grudgingly. The children wanted me to go. I think they used to say they were a bit frightened of the dad not being saved, and if anything happened, I'd pop off this mortal coil and be saved. So they wanted me to go along to church to get saved, I think. And if I'm honest, the experience was pretty uncomfortable. It wasn't great, very embarrassing. Lots of loud worship, a bit like here, isn't it? Lots of people clapping. I used to call them happy clappers. Got that phrase. Loads of people with their hands up in the air, like someone was talking about last week. Then they started speaking in tongues and prophesying. My goodness, what an embarrassing place for a non-Christian to be. And that's exactly what it was like. There were times I really did not want to go, but I did. And I sort of got used to it. Probably after about 18 months, I even started to enjoy it, I suppose. You could say. So I did carry on. One of the things I did have the benefit of was week after week after week, there was teaching from John Price, Rose Till, Jonathan Bentley, and then some great visiting pastors from around Black Country as well. I suppose the teaching I had, I just can't tell you how good it was. It was amazing, the quality of the preaching, the teaching that we had. I think Debbie couldn't understand why on earth I hadn't seen the light. What was taking such a long time? I'd say, yeah, and I suppose it does take some people longer than others. I certainly wasn't in any rush to go down the front and give a life to the Lord and all that business. I was quite happy to, just listen and learn. Funny things, because the children I got involved in supporting one or two net events and different things. I can remember starting to roadie for various different Christian bands. That was experience as well in itself. Anybody remember the worldwide message tribe? Yeah, you come across those guys? Yeah, I used to, I did a bit of roadie for one or two of their shows. That was quite good fun. When you're a non-Christian, being asked to stand and hold hands, a bunch of guys and girls, and pray out loud. They even got me praying, and I'm like, what on earth's going on, you know? But that was interesting. But through all of this time, what you do notice is the people around you, the people you're mixing with, they do have something. God gives you something, the Holy Spirit gives you something. And that's a sort of a peace about you, there's a quality of that peace, of the way you behave towards one another. There's something very different about Christians, and you can't help but notice. I suppose during 1999, there were lots of times I felt I was going to stand up front and, give myself a life to the Lord. You get that urge to respond, and you think, nah, not today. You got that quickening of the heart, the heart rate goes up, and you're feeling, I ought to stand up or hold my hand up when they do the appeal. I wouldn't do that. And sometimes the preach was really meant, for me. He was talking to me, but still, that little voice, the Lord saying, God, say yes. No, not really. But during this time also, I had to work away from home quite a lot. And I'd find myself reading the Gideon Bible in the hotel room, rather than sit in the bar with the rest of the guys. I remember they'd started a poker school at one time stage, and I didn't really want to get involved in that. And I found the Gospel of John. And I think they say sort of read John and believe, don't they? So I read the Gospel of John, and it made a lot of sense. So, sorry.
No, wonderful, brilliant. So would you say you had a bit, your story is a bit more of a journey than a light bulb moment, would you have said?
Well, I think so, basically.
A gradual journey.
What I've just tried to describe, I suppose, really, is God was very gentle with me. He wasn't, Yeah, I didn't have one of those Emmaus Road experiences. It was very nice to have that, wasn't it? You know, imagine the flash of light and other folks being blind, but yeah, it'd be nice to have Jesus speak to you, wouldn't it? You know?
So would it be fair to say that perhaps Debbie's chapter in her story had some kind of impact on your story?
For sure, because if Debbie had to become Christian in the way that she did through the birth of Rachel and so on, then I wouldn't have gone to church. I was still living my life out here to the world, not really interested in any way, shape or form. So definitely, Rachel becoming a Christian and then getting how many hundreds of people to pray for me everywhere she ever went. There are lots of the church at K10, they're all praying for me all the time. In fact, when I was baptised, actually somebody said, this baptism is for you because it's an answer to your prayers. And that's how I felt about it. It was an answer to the prayer of the church that I'd been saved. I got baptised. And there's no special event other than the time I actually did say, yes, Lord, I want to be saved, please forgive me, and so on. And that was the 14th of November 1999. And that's how I know it. I always remember that date. But yes, it was a very gradual, very gradual process. It doesn't have to happen all in one magic moment. I think it's nice sometimes. It is a gradual thing. And you're just allowed to make up your own mind, I suppose. Yeah.
And then just lastly, if we've kind of ascertained that Deb's chapter had an impact on your life, what do you feel the significance of your story, your chapter, may or may not be on other people, and just to encourage us here about us sharing our story and our chapters?
Big questions really, and I don't want to take too long talking, but everyone should share their testimony for sure, and each of us impact on other people around us. You don't know, I don't think, how you're impacting and what something you might say or some way you might act can influence somebody else. I've written a verse down from 1 Peter. It's 3:15, 16, and it's just very simple. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness, respect, and keeping a clear conscience. And I think that's what we can all do, in my view. I think we can all share our faith, given the right opportunity. We can all speak quietly, we can all act gently, we can all act in an encouraging way to others. And I think that's what we should do. It's easy to feel nervous about it. You don't want to do it, you don't want to speak about your faith perhaps. I think what you've got to remember is that you know your own story. You actually don't need to learn anything because you've lived it. So it's actually the simplest thing in the world to just share what God has done in your life. You don't have to learn anything. Just talk about yourself really and your example. It's the way people behaved, I noticed, the way people acted, the peace they had. That was the most important thing. And that stands out when visitors are with us. It stands out when you're at work and you behave differently, it stands out. So, and then people ask you, and that's quite interesting. And then again, I've written down from Luke, for the Holy Spirit will teach you at that time what you should say. And then that made me think about the old story of David and Goliath. When David fought Goliath, he said the battle was the Lord's. There's not one of us in this room who can actually get someone else to be a Christian. We can't. It's not in our power. But what we can do, we can share our story, and the Holy Spirit, it's his battle, it's his fight. So let the Holy Spirit do it. We just have to go and take our story and let God do the rest. We don't have to do anything else.
That is so brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for that, Mike.